Right, the Scottish Premiership may have been over for what seems about 6 months now, probably longer than that if we're honest with ourselves. But believe it or not, there are still leagues around Europe that are yet to be concluded. We're yet to find out who the champions, who the second place teams are in these leagues. However, more and more leagues are coming to a conclusion. We do know some of the teams that are going to be joining Celtic in Champions League qualification next season. And in this video, we're going to go through a little bit of that stuff. I'm going to take a couple of questions that I got sent in and I'm going to try and make it as straightforward and uncomplicated as possible, basically. Right, a quick wee refresher. Celtic will enter the UEFA Champions League in the non-champions route at the second qualification round. That is currently scheduled for either July the 20th or July the 21st. We will have to win 3 consecutive rounds to make it to the Champions League group stage. Bit of a tough ask, and that's even before we get into some of the teams that we could face. However, if we win the first qualifying round in the Champions League, then at the very worst, we will be guaranteed Europa League group stage football. Lose that first qualifying round, and we're in a little bit of bother. We'll be seeded almost certainly for the first qualifying round. I think we've got about a 70% chance of being seeded for the second qualifying round should we make it. And if we make it all the way to the third Champions League qualifier, we will almost certainly not be seeded. Okay, already confirmed in the second qualifying round are PSV, second in the Netherlands, and Galatasaray, second in Turkey. And we will be joined by second place in Austria, second place in the Czech Republic, and second place in Denmark. Now, the way things stand in these leagues at the moment, Austria will be either Rapid Vienna or Sturm Graz. Denmark will be either Midtjylland, Brøndby or Copenhagen. And the Czech Republic is very likely to be our good old friends Sparta Prague. Once all of these leagues are finished and the potential opponents for Celtic are confirmed, I will do another video listing every single team we could face in Champions League qualifying. I will go in depth, give you some wee nuggets of information on these teams, best players, domestic seasons, managers, recent history with Celtic, all of that kind of stuff. You've got that to look forward to. I think there's a couple of leagues that have still got a couple of match days to go and don't finish until the weekend after this, so we may be waiting a good wee while, to be honest. The question is, what will happen first? That video of our confirmed opponents or Eddie Howe's announcement party? Well, I guess time will tell. Right, I never like to get too presumptuous on this channel, as you obviously all know by now, but in Champions League qualifying, third round, which would be the second round should we make it through our first one, I know it's very straightforward, will be Shakhtar Donetsk, Benfica, Spartak Moscow, 3 teams who have suffered pretty desperate nights at Celtic Park over the last 15 years, and Genk. Hello, Abu Kouassi. The third best team in France will also join those sides, as will the 3 winners from the round that we're in. So it's all kind of taking shape. Oh no, it's not, because I introduced to you a bit of complication, and that complication arises from Poland, Gdansk to be precise, where the Europa League final will take place next Wednesday. It features Manchester United and Villarreal. Now, if Villarreal win it, nothing changes at all. If Manchester United win it, things do change a little bit in Celtic's qualification path, and if we're honest, they probably help us out a little bit. I've spent about 5 or 6 hours already today trying to work out what all of this means, because UEFA aren't very good at explaining what could happen. They're very good at telling you what the default format is and how it will work, but then they don't really have much information about what could happen should a curveball be thrown, so to speak. So I've had to look at recent seasons and seen what's happened when the Europa League winner has already qualified for the Champions League through their league placing. Now, the reason I say it doesn't matter for Villarreal is that they're not going to qualify for the Champions League in La Liga. If they qualify by winning the Europa League, as the Europa League winner does qualify for the next season's Champions League group stage, then that's fine. That doesn't affect us at all. They would take the Europa League winner's place. If Manchester United win it, then they would effectively have qualified twice for the Champions League. Once from winning the Europa League and once from finishing in the top 4 in the English Premier League. So what happens is that one of those places taken by Manchester United is given to the third best team in France. So the team that finishes third in the French Ligue 1. Now that would mean that team would no longer be a potential opponent for Celtic. They would go straight through to the Champions League group stage. But the changes don't end there, because from the round that we enter in, the aforementioned Galatasaray and PSV Eindhoven would be parachuted into the next round. That's because Turkey and the Netherlands are the 2 highest ranked nations in this round. So they would no longer be a potential opponents for us in the first round. Now, PSV wouldn't have been anyway due to their seeding being similar to ours, but Galatasaray would have been. So we would avoid Galatasaray in the first round. But while Villarreal are a team that are quite liked by a lot of Celtic fans, I think there's a kind of mutual fan thing going on between the Villarreal Supporters Club and a lot of Celtic fans that goes back to our UEFA Cup tie, I think back in 2004. I've even got a Villarreal top upstairs. But as much as we'd like them to beat Man United, it would actually make qualifying for the Champions League that little bit easier for Celtic if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's men go and win the Europa League. So just to clarify, it would mean that the third best team in France would no longer be potential opponents for us on the way to the Champions League group stage, and it would also mean Galatasaray would not be a potential first round opponent for us. It would also increase our chances of being seeded in the second round should we get there. That's because Celtic's UEFA coefficient is actually pretty good, even though we had an absolute shocker this season. Now, just to put that in some context, the second qualifying round we will enter, already in that round will be Spartak Moscow, Genk, PSV and Galatasaray, should Man United win the Europa League. Our current coefficient is better than all 4 of those teams, so we would be certain to be one of the seeded sides. So this is what Man United winning the Europa League could mean. Now, I'm not suggesting you should all go out and buy Ole Gunnar Solskjaer face masks or start protesting against the Glazer family, but just keep it in the back of your mind that if Man United do win the Europa League, it's actually quite good for Celtic. Okay, question time, and you're clearly all bored of this topic because we only got in 2 questions. One brilliant guy decided to use the question as an opportunity to vent about why we haven't brought in Eddie Howe yet, so I'm glad you got that off your chest. Right, Owen Gogan, apologies if I've not pronounced your surname correctly, has messaged in. This is probably a dig. This is probably a Rangers fan if I'm honest, but I'm going to take it at face value. And Owen was asking, what is the route for the team that finished second next year? Well, Owen, the route for Rangers next season, once they finish second in the Scottish Premiership, will be the exact same one that we'll have to take this year. There is no change at all for the following season. The second place team in Scotland will enter the Champions League at the second qualifying round. They will have to win 3 consecutive rounds to make it to the Champions League group stage. Darren McMullen also got in touch asking me to do a quick summary for all the teams on how the Conference League works and if we could get in that. So briefly, this hinges on the Scottish Cup final that takes place at Hampden on Saturday. If St Johnstone win the Cup, it will be Celtic Rangers in the Champions League, St Johnstone in the Europa League and Hibs and Aberdeen in the new Europa Conference League. The 2 Europa Conference League teams will enter at the second qualifying round and will have to win 3 consecutive rounds to get to the group stage of the Conference League. And bear in mind that the final one of those rounds will see the 7th best team in Spain, England, Italy, Germany, the 6th best team in France and 5th in Portugal and Russia, and basically a lot of good teams will enter that round. So it's no gimme at all that teams like Hibs and Aberdeen would even make it to the Europa Conference League group stage. If Hibs win the Cup tomorrow, then they will take the Europa League place and it will be St Johnstone and Aberdeen who qualify for the Conference League. St Johnstone doing it via their 5th place finish in the league as opposed to winning the Cup. Again, really confusing stuff. The one thing that won't change, there'll be 2 teams starting in the Champions League, 1 in the Europa League and 2 in the Europa Conference League. In terms of Celtic, well, I spent about 4 or 5 hours over last weekend making this not at all confusing flowchart. You can see there that we've got the Champions League, Europa League and Conference League. The most obvious and hopeful path Celtic will take is entering the Champions League at the second qualifying round and just winning all the way to the group stage. I would suggest that's probably a bit unlikely. Chances are that we're going to drop into the Europa League at some stage. The most key thing to bear in mind here is that you will enter the competition down lower, so the Europa League from the Champions League or the Conference League from the Europa League at basically around later. You can see that there, but then I'll just add this orange line, and this is the most interesting one. This tells us that if we lose in the third qualifying round of the Champions League, we will go straight into the Europa League group stage. We will miss out the Europa League playoff round. So what this means, as I touched on earlier, is that if we win our first Champions League qualifier, then at the very least, we are guaranteed Europa League group stage football. I'm almost looking at this first Champions League qualifier as being the Europa League playoff round, if that makes any sort of sense. I know it's a Champions League match, and I know that our main goal will be to get to the Champions League. The players aren't going to be playing that thinking of the Europa League, but I think for me personally, if you think of that first Champions League qualifier as, we win this, we're guaranteed Europa League group stage football. Being in the Europa League next year wouldn't be terrible. The Europa League's going to be much stronger than it's ever been. They've basically cut away the last 16 teams and put them in the Conference League. The Europa League is going to feel a bit more like the Champions League, or certainly a bit stronger than it's been. There should be no more complete, utter diddies. Now, I realise that Celtic were the diddies last year, but, with a good manager in place, we could be all right. Right, for the probably 3 or 4 people that are still lingering on, thanks for your patience. Hopefully you've managed to understand some of this. I feel totally drained going over all of this stuff, but as I said earlier, I will return with one more video on European football for next season when all the teams are confirmed, the Europa League winners are confirmed. We'll know the exact picture for what's ahead of Celtic. If you do no doubt have questions for me, I'm happy to answer them below. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Also give this video a like as well. It helps more people like you to see the content. That is really, really appreciated. We've got so much more good stuff coming over the weekend. We're going to be hearing about the Celtic women's team. Ewan from 67 Hail Hail spoke to Fran Alonso. We'll be hearing that on Saturday lunchtime. We're then going to have a video looking at Sky Sports and the pretty poor season they've had with regards to Scottish football. And then we've got a very lengthy video of me and Ewan looking at some of the future stars for Celtic who have spent this season away out on loan. So the football may have stopped, but 67 Hail Hail is actually picking things up. Thanks for watching, everyone. Like the video, share, subscribe, and we'll speak to you next time.